Okay, everyone. So hopefully everything's working all right. This is the second time I've tried to do this unboxing, and the first time there was some technical difficulties, so I'm trying this again. As you can see, I have a big box in front of me, and honestly, the box here doesn't, I mean, you can see my hand as a reference, but I don't think this really does. I mean, I guess I'd need a ruler to properly illustrate how big of a box this is. Like, again, even if I put it on its side, it's hard to see. The best way of illustrating how big this box is that I can think of is just comparing it to another huge box, which I have, which is Elder Scrolls. So I'm going to do that now. And you can see Elder Scrolls, which is a huge box, is actually smaller than this one. So, I don't know. Do with that what you will. And again, it's hard to tell from the size, but this is even taller than Elder Scrolls. So, that's pretty crazy to me. Alright. So what is actually in this box? That's the point of this little stream here. The first thing that I want to touch on is the crowdfunding campaign. So we will do a quick recap. Oops. That's not helpful. A quick recap of the crowdfunding. So this game I backed now a few years ago. Specifically, let's see if I have my view pledge. So we'll view my pledge just to clarify. Oops. Campaign. So I backed this Heroic Edition version, which includes all hero content and all unlocked stretch goals, and its estimated delivery was July 2023. I only received it only a few weeks ago, so it was a little delayed. I'm sure it was explained in detail why it was delayed. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why these big projects get delayed, so I'm not going to worry about that. This crowdfunding page is huge. I'm not going to go through everything. And I should say right off the bat, this is not going to be a overview video of the game by any means. I'm literally opening the box. This is a pure unboxing. I'm literally opening the box. I'll show you what's inside because I feel that alone is going to be interesting given how big this thing is. But just wanted to give you a little bit of a background of where this game came from. I don't hear many people talk about it. So it maybe went under the radar as far as crowdfunding campaigns go. I'm trying to see like the detail. Okay, so 3,800 backers, 580,000 euros. So it was, I don't know, a relatively large crowdfunding campaign. But that being said, let's get into, oops, again, I'm getting all over the place. Sorry about that. Let's get into the actual unboxing of this. So, as you can see, I have not taken the shrink wrap off. Everything is going to be as new to me as it is to all of you watching. And I purposely did not try to look up any aspects or details of the game before doing this unboxing. So I forgot almost everything that this game had to offer, other than it's one of those giant campaign style cooperative dungeon crawler type games. So will it ever get played? We'll see. Alright, so then the wrinkles in this really bug me. Oh, I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Okay, so let's take the top off. Oh my goodness. Right away, we have a rule book. I love new board game smell when you first open up a game. Hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about. Oh, it smells so good. Okay, rule book. Let's take a close look at this. So, a group of heroes awaken. So you're heroes of some sort in this game. I'm not going to go through the rulebook in detail. Just wanted to give you an idea of the depth of this rulebook. 79 pages from front to back. On the back, some very high-level reminders. Stealth mode golden rules, which is interesting to see that that's specifically called out. Some interesting QR codes here to note. We have fine details on cards and the potential game facts here. Find any updates to booklets here. So it's, I mean, hopefully they keep these updated. That's the only thing with anything digital with QR codes. Like, 5 years from now, are these still going to be valid? Who knows? But I appreciate that type of effort. Obviously, these types of games tend to have a ton of updates over time, given the complexity. Also, a general frustration of mine with these types of games is that it seems not long after the first one is printed, they come up with a second edition and maybe change a ton of things. So I'll do a quick pause here at the summary, though. Looks like a lot of the rule book is rules. So, yeah, I mean, that's the rule book. I won't spend too much more than that with the rule book just because there's so much content in this box. The very next thing they have is a content sheet, which is always kind of nice to have. I'm kind of curious myself what exactly the purpose of this is. So, the heroic version is played in harmony with the basic version. It includes additional heroes and a complete standalone adventure. Okay, so I do maybe have because this was the crowdfunded version of the game, a slightly different content than what maybe the retail version of this game would have. So I guess this is explaining, this is maybe explaining what this heroic version comes with in addition to maybe the normal version. And then there's additional rules. So the way I gather is that this is like a mini expansion that came with and then it even gives you an insignia to know what components are part of this expansion, we'll call it. So that's important to note then, that this is a unique version of the game. A sticker sheet, which is a little intimidating. I don't really see sticker sheets too often in games. So I'm not sure if this has something to do with leveling up or campaign stuff yet. There's a lot of ×2 stickers. I mean, this gives me a little bit of a Gloomhaven vibe. If you've ever played Gloomhaven, there's a lot of stickering going on in that game as you upgrade characters. All right, so we have, this looks like maybe a high-level map of the world you're in that I assume during a campaign you're moving your party around. Looks cool. I wish I could give a little more detailed explanation of what's going on here, but it definitely gives me the impression that you're moving around this world map as you explore the world of, I'm going to assume it's called Malhya, given the name of the game. This is it's crazy just how thick this is. All right, so next we have a couple sheets of punch out counter stuff. I'm not going to obviously punch these out at the moment, but I will put them under. Oh my goodness, stuff's falling out already. Put them under the side camera here. So I'm not even going to try to guess what a lot of these things are. I'll try to reference the rulebook for some of these components. If I don't tear the rulebook. Gosh. So these things are called aura tokens. whatever aura tokens do. And then these, I'm trying to find the image for these guys because there's obviously a decent amount of those ones. It looks like currency. The gold coins is the currency of this game, and these are enemy damage counters. Initiative tokens are what these I think are going to be used for. So when you're fighting the baddies, there's initiative, obviously. Like a lot of RPG style games, these tokens are referred to as interest and vigilance tokens. You have these guys, which are called invocation tokens. Sounds interesting. And then we have a whole nother sheet. Looks like this other sheet of punch outs is more for map stuff. You have a lot of punch outs for like tiles and stuff like that. So that in a nutshell is the punch out sheets that come with the game. And again, purposely not trying to give too much detail. Oh my gosh. Because there's so much stuff to go through. Alright, minis. I've really started losing my interest in minis over the last couple of years. There's just too many games with tons of minis. And I hate how gray minis look. And I would love to paint minis, but painting minis takes time. And when you have bajillion games all with unpainted minis, it's a little difficult to paint them all. So regardless, as you can see, this game comes with minis. And it's interesting that they went for a clear base. But I don't claim to be a mini expert. I think the details of these minis look good. This one actually, this one I popped out. Not a big deal though, because they do have like sprues that pop in, but that's a little disconcerting that the first mini kind of did that. I'm not sure if, it comes out pretty simple, so maybe they're intentionally that way. Yeah, this one also is the same. So either they're intentionally that way or it is a little bit of a manufacturing thing. But they're not terrible by any means. I think definitely if you're a painting person, that would be a helpful thing because then you can take them off the base and paint them and put them back in the base. So a lot of different sculpts, a lot of different types of enemies I imagine you're fighting in this game. So that's one big tray of minis. And if you are a mini aficionado watching this, I'm sorry if that was too much of a quick look at the minis. Like I said, when you have a bunch of games with a bunch of minis, it just, they all start looking the same. Now this is a sheet with more minis. I gotta pull this out a little bit. Sorry, it's a little too zoomed in. So I'm guessing these minis, since they're on their own unique tray, are the hero minis. Potentially, there's obviously a few others in here, so maybe it's a mixture of hero minis and some bad guys. But this is the adventure booklet. I assume more or less the campaign guide. So some spoilers here, but it doesn't really give scenario. It's not giving scenario setups in my mind. There's a lot of numbered, I'm guessing like paragraph checks that you'll be referencing throughout this into Narshrak's Inferno. Oh, and there you go, that heroic symbol. So this is part of that heroic expansion that I got because I backed it. And I'm guessing these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of playable heroes you have at your disposal. And these are, by the way, I don't know if you can probably tell it very easily, but these are those double layered player boards. So there's actually, these tokens look like they pop out. And that's I'm guessing, I'm 99, well, I'll say pretty sure that's intentional, so you can level up your hero with cubes and that sort of thing, where they would sit in these spaces. I just have to pop out the cardboard that's sitting in there. But looking at the heroes, they definitely have some asymmetry already just from looking at the player boards. Like this part for this guy is different from hers down there, so different movement chart for that guy compared to her. Looks like you start maybe on the left and can get up to the number on the right as you level up. So initiative track, this guy's different as well. I'm not going to spend too much time on that aspect of the game. This guy looks like an Avatar Airbender person. Okay, that's the different boards there. These are, I'm guessing, from just as I already talked about earlier, initiative tokens to help track that. Cards. A lot of cards. There's going to be a lot of cards in this game, I can tell. I'll put the hero book back. Try to keep things organized as I put it away for my own sake. And yeah, I mean, so far from an insert perspective, you can kind of see for yourself what this how this game is organized, but this also seems to be, again, that heroic version of the game, so keep that in mind. And next, another insert thing. Yeah, I apologize for my side camera being kind of... I'm going to have to fix this. To better show off the whole scope of what we're getting here. Okay, so next insert comes with... I'm going to make a guess. I'm looking at the rulebook too as I pull this out. So these are definitely enemy cards. 13 enemy cards is what the rulebook says. So I'm going to imagine there's 13 in here. Obviously, each enemy is going to have a different set of traits. From what I'm gathering, lightning bolt's initiative. So how quick, when the enemy is going to act. Speed, I'm guessing, is the boot, and then health is the hearts, and then attack. Defense is the blue, and attack is red. So attack in red. Attack and defense dice down here. I'm guessing these are some unique abilities then that enemies will have. So that's what the enemy cards look like. Here are the dice that come with the game. Custom dice, as you can see for yourself. And yellow is power dice. Blue, I said, was the defense dice. Red is the attack dice, as I said. And then the black is called dodge dice. So that's what you get there. We'll put them back in that little area. Next, let's look at these cards, which are called... no. People cards. Well, I wish I could explain. I knew off the top of my head what people cards are, but these are called people cards. And then more dice behind there. These dice, we have skill dice are the white dice, difficulty dice. Yeah, skill dice are the white dice, difficulty dice are these two black dice. So that's what those are. And then we have over here, this looks like a deck of item cards. I'm just trying to confirm that I'm not making things up completely. Sorry. They're kind of big. I'm just surprised I'm not immediately seeing in the rule book how they classify these. I'll just take a second to open them up. If you're in streaming in TikTok or watching on YouTube, feel free to send a message if you have any specific questions about anything board game related. But thank you for anyone that's already watching this. Or if you watch in the future, I'll keep this, of course, on the Talking Cardboard YouTube channel as a live recording for anyone to watch in the future again. All right. So, okay. Yeah, that explains why I was confused. So the cards with this... So there's these cards that have this shield crest type background. These are called common weapons. So going back to what I was already saying, it looks like this weapon has various attack profiles, and depending on which attack profile you're using, you get different die that you're rolling. For the blue and red dice, every weapon is definitely different from each other. So a lot of asymmetry amongst the weapons in this game. And then you have, so that's common weapons. Oh, and you can craft. So this is called a crafting card. Crafting, obviously, a big part of a lot of different RPG games out there. So there is crafting in this game. And then you have, these are what are called the rare weapons. So again, complete additional asymmetry in the weapons. And then these ones are called, basic weapons. So maybe you start with the basic weapons, then move up to the common weapons, and then have the rare weapons. And then you have these, which are called the barehanded / claw cards. So for whatever reason, I imagine maybe you either are a character or a hero or enemies fighting with just bare hands or claws. So they have 5 cards that look identical to illustrate how combat would work for those people. Okay, put those back in the box. And I already discussed what... Oh! There was more dice hiding. So the final dice in this game are called the 2 white... These are all called stealth dice. So for whatever reason, there's a black stealth die and 2 white stealth die. But clearly there's mechanisms... Enough mechanisms around stealth in this game that deserve their own unique dice, which is interesting to see, in my opinion. Oh, and these are more weapon cards, it looks like. I don't know why they weren't part of that initial. These are also rare weapon cards, so I'm not sure if these are... Yeah, that's why. So these are part of that heroic expansion pledge. So just to reiterate, there's some components that I'm showing you that unique to that. All right, so there's tons more stuff in these compartments. Man, let's just try to... I don't really want to take time peeling open all these. These are action cards. So it makes me think that then you are playing from a hand of cards on your turn to determine what kind of actions you're taking. Similar, I mean, again, not to say this is anything like Gloomhaven, but obviously Gloomhaven, your turn is heavily dependent on the cards you're playing. Here we have what are called spell cards. 12 spell. Let me double check this. So these are spell cards, these ones with the green back. If you're curious, Initiative, Puppeteer, Vision, Time Travel, Rocky Armor. Kind of an interesting assortment of spells. You know, I think that's, I guess, kind of cool. I'm sure they all have their time and place to get used. And then these other cards are called attack spell. I was going to say, none of these looked like attacks. That's why these are interesting. None of them look very dangerous, but these are the attack spell cards. So you have Withering, Mental Shock, Fire Dart, Telekinesis. So why they split it up, spell cards and attack cards, as separate, very succinct and separate decks, I'm not 100% sure there. So, but definitely interesting. Oh, I mean, this, if it's not clear already, I feel this game does a lot of stuff different than what you would see in a lot of other types of dungeon crawler games. So, which is maybe part of the reason why I backed it. All right, so these, just judging by that treasure chest symbol, I'm going to say are treasure cards. Yeah, well, they're called object cards. So there's 46 common object cards, 26 rare object cards, and as you can see, this looks like some sort of pickaxe type object that I'm sure has some unique gameplay benefit if you have this object. So I'm not going to open and go through all these object cards, but that's a big part of the game is unique objects. Then you have these cards, which are called talent cards, and in a lot of RPGs, of course, you have skills and traits and stuff that you can access over the course of the campaign, and looks like in this game you have talent cards that you can go after, so that have all sorts of symbology on them. So that's pretty cool. Down here we have these are what are called the scenario cards, and it looks like maybe each scenario, I don't want to spoil it, but they're scenario cards that I'm sure come into play depending on which scenario you're playing. And then these are called event cards. There's only 8 of them, so I bet they maybe add some, keep scenarios flavorful. And then you have these cards, which are called great. I think these are day cards and night cards. Just because now I'm curious, I am going to open up this small deck. So you have, yeah, so this top card is called the Arrest card. So again, that I'm not an RPG expert by any means. I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 with my buddies Eric, Lindo, and Spencer. If you're watching this, which I doubt they are, we've been playing this. We finally finished a huge Baldur's Gate 3 campaign. And by playing that game, I learned a lot of, terms that I think are commonplace in RPG, in the world of RPG. So resting is a big part of D&D, or from what I gather, where you take a rest and you get to recover a bunch of stuff, and I think that's what this card is probably illustrating. And then you have nighttime cards that are, they just call them night cards and day cards. So you have 8 night cards, 12 day cards. I'm not sure if this has to denote with the feet symbol. I'm wondering if it has something to do with if when you're traveling around the big world map, you are drawing from this deck of cards when you're traveling from space to space, depending on if it's day or night, to add some flavor to what's going on. That's just a guess. All right, now let's take a look at this little player board. What do they call it here? They call it, so this is the stealth board. Once again, going back to what I was saying about stealth, clearly stealth is a big part of this game. Not only do they have dice that are unique to stealth for whatever reason, but they have a whole board dedicated to stealth. So yeah, I wish I could give you a little more detail as to how all of that impacts things, but clearly that's a big part of the game. Then we have all these spiral bound. I guess that's called exploration booklet. Yeah, exploration booklet is definitely what it's called. No, sorry for any spoilers here, but clearly this is then the what you're using to set up the different scenarios in the game. So that's what this is for. And then you have, oh my gosh, a whole entire chunk of sheets that double-sided too, but a whole huge chunk for, I'm guessing that's your character progression sheet. Oh no, it's right there, scenario save. So block of save sheets. And this is nice. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest challenges with any big box campaign style game is how do you get to keep it going from one play session to the next. And I do think over time designers and publishers are more cognizant of that challenge for gamers. So this I would like to think is a very functional save sheet and will help keep this game, allowing you to put this game away and set it back up relatively easily. But the one concerning thing that I will say off the top of my head is, unlike now a lot of the games that we're seeing come out that are campaign style games, this game does have you put together to some degree the various maps when you're playing a scenario, and that takes some time to find the tiles and stuff. And a lot of campaign games now are moving to that booklet map, which makes things very easy because you just turn to a page and then that's the mission you're that's the scenario. That said, this game is now actually a few years old when it was first designed, because it only technically was supposed to deliver a couple years ago. So anyway, the other thing I want to point out though is at least this has this insert has a bunch of compartments for, and this actually comes out. So this is nice. This is actually like something that I assume you can put tokens in, and then the fact you can pull it out of here allows you to then maybe put it on the table to use for people to pull out of. So that is all the contents in this level of the tray of the box. And so far I do appreciate everything fitting together nicely. Looks alright. Next layer of the cake. Oh my gosh, we're almost done, but next layer of the cake here, we have the map tiles. So I won't spend a ton of time here on map tiles. Map tiles to me are self-explanatory. As you can see, it's a square-based map system. I'm guessing red lined is impassable terrain. I definitely get the impression that there's not a lot of additional terrain features you need to worry about with these map tiles, hopefully. Yet you just can, when you set them up how the mission, that exploration booklet dictates, and that's all you need to do, which keeps things simple. Obviously, fishing for terrain tiles is a pain. And you're probably wondering, okay, well, what's this little disc thingy? That I will take a minute to look up. This is called the exploration wheel. So, as you can see, it does spin around. I don't know if exploring maybe takes time as an action in the high world map, and then somehow you're spinning this to determine what it is you find. It's double-sided, so I assume if you're in maybe different towns or villages, you would reference this for a variety of reasons. This looks like maybe this is maybe indicating market stuff. I'm seeing a lot of gold symbology and that sort of thing. So, but just like a standard RPG type game, the big world map's a big part of the game experience, it seems. So that's the extent of what's in this box is map tiles. We'll move on to the very last layer here, which, oh man, this is kind of a, oof, this is heavy or hefty. So, this is a whole mini bookcase in itself of documentation for the game. And let's see what specifically we're dealing with. 10 campaign booklets, 9 adventure booklets, and 1 introduction booklet. So, oof. We have, oh my gosh, okay. So this is the event booklet, as it's so named. And we pull this thing up. Oh my gosh, this has so much stuff going on. In total, this thing is 239 pages. All sorts of different numbered events that I guess you'll be looking up throughout a campaign of this game. And then, oh my gosh. And then the different campaign booklets. Sorry, what did I say? So you have an introduction booklet, and then a bunch of adventure booklets. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, so all these are considered campaign booklets. One is considered an introduction booklet. The other 9 they say are the adventure booklets. So that is to say, there is probably a lot going on in this game. I'll open up the introduction booklet because this one I assume is more meant to be a tutorial and help learn the game. But this is what's crazy to me. It has a very similar format as the event booklet, in that there's all these numbered, I assume, events, but I guess that these are specific events for this very specific adventure, whereas the big event booklet maybe is more just general events that are occurring throughout the whole world of, again, I'm going to call it Malhya. Regardless, whatever the case may be, there's a lot of there's 9 other adventure booklets, and I mean, I can't even imagine the amount of hours of content than there is to experience in this game. And then obviously you can, for yourself, try to assume the amount of what replayability there would be, given what I was saying earlier, that you have at least 5 asymmetric characters to choose from, all the different weapons that I was talking about. I get the impression it's pretty open world too, so you don't have to necessarily maybe... Alright, this is embarrassing trying to get this back in the box. And that smell, continuing as I go down further in the box, the smell just of the new board game smell keeps coming back. Wow. Okay. I'll eventually get these back in. Oof. Okay. So that's what this was. And now the last tray of stuff is here. Some additional minis. I'm going to guess that maybe these are the final baddies in the game. Don't quote me on that, of course, but once again, these minis are struggling to... Okay. That one actually does fit pretty well in its holder. I'm not going to complain about that one. This guy looks pretty intimidating. All right, so minis there, and then what do we have here? That's a great question. Let me tell you guys. They are called knapsacks. Okay, well, that's simple enough. These are what you would be using as a player to keep track of your objects, and geez, I mean, there's much more than just objects going on these player boards. Or knapsacks. Sorry, I'll call them knapsacks. Just because I can decide, yeah, here. Let's not keep this one let's not keep this component as a mystery. So 3 is carrying zone. So these are different carrying zones. There's encumbrance, so I'm guessing... Oof, this is an RPG. This definitely has a lot of RPG inspiration. So depending on, I assume, how strong your character is, maybe, that opens up more and more carrying zones for you to utilize. Then you have the slots for the actual equipment cards themselves. So they would go here, you know, as you open up these zones. Then you have these little squares are called resource storage space. So you can store individual resources in this game in addition to objects. Then this is called the life points and wounds space. Unfortunately, it doesn't give much more detail than that, but somehow this is how you are managing life points and wounds, I guess. And then you have this little area down here, which is called the potion effect reminder. Okay, so there's clearly potions in this game that are going to have different effects depending on which one it is. Then you have down here called the resource storage space. So I'm not 100% sure the difference in these resource storage spaces and these resource storage spaces. It looks like maybe there are spaces for specific types of resources based on the image on these white cubes, but which makes me realize I feel like I'm okay. Maybe we'll get there. So that's what this area is for, and then you have the bottom down here says special arrows and lockpicks. I guess there must be different. Yeah. I guess there's green arrows, red arrows, yellow arrows, and then there's different types of lockpick. So lockpicking, another big RPG type thing from playing Baldur's Gate, and arrow type. There's tons and tons of arrow types in Baldur's Gate. So, you know, not to use that as the be-all end-all example of what an RPG should be, but that's the one that I've been playing and know the most about. Okay, and then 7, there's a 7 slot. Oh, right here. It's pointing, the arrow points to here. I don't know. It says unequipped weapon card space. So, yeah, I mean, we could spend... Oh, okay, that's cool. So so this is a little puzzle, kind of like a puzzle thing, because this would be a slot then for the for your hero board. Your hero board would slot right in next to this board. That's why there's like this little half circle thing at the top. So that's kind of cool. I like how they did that. And this is also, if you couldn't tell, a double layered board as well. So all these things should pop out. Okay, so that's the knapsack. Like, there is so much going on in this game. And okay, here, this must be... I actually don't know if these are new heroes or what. because we already went through those 5 heroes. Maybe those 5 were the unique heroes for the heroic. Okay. So we'll say those 5 heroes that we looked through already maybe were the ones part of that heroic expansion / special pledge. Maybe these are the core heroes you get. And as I was trying to illustrate, these go up right next to the knapsack like so, which I don't know why this one's not going as well as I would like it to. Come on. Well, it's supposed to get pretty close. I don't know what specifically is preventing it from locking in as well as I feel it should. Anyway, it's supposed to look like something like that. Okay, so these are additional heroes though. And then you have all the different cubes for tracking stuff. I was wondering about that, and I guess they were at the very bottom here. What are all the cubes for? Well, the rulebook doesn't say. There's 35 yellow cubes, 35 red cubes, 25 purple cubes, 35 green cubes, 30 blue cubes, 10 white cubes. And then these, I guess, are the... Well, they're called crystals. And they say 30 crystals, value 1. 10 larger crystals, value 3. So these are the larger ones, I guess. As we know, there's gold in this game. So maybe the crystals you can find and trade in for gold value. But I won't speculate much more than that. Why there's crystals with different denominations. And yeah, that was the very last part of... see if I can get these packed correctly. I really want to. Dang it. Oh, maybe it was like this. Yeah, I'm going to say it was like that. And then these are like this. Okay. That's got to be right. Why isn't it laying flat, people? Something's not... Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Now we're done. Now we're done. I'll put this back first and worry about the rest later. Yeah. And then it's just foam inserts here. Woo! Well, there's Malhya. I mean, that's... I apologize. I mean, I said up front purposely that this was not going to be a rule explanation for the game. There's probably a lot of videos that are doing that better than I would be able to. So... I just wanted to unbox this giant thing because I finally got it in the mail and figured others might have interest in seeing what's inside. So from my first impression, just going through everything, there's a lot going on in this game. It's very, very difficult for me to, visualize what gameplay would be like, obviously, because like I said, I haven't really investigated what this game is supposed to be like for a few years now. Since I originally backed it, I'm going to make sure I have autofocus off on this camera because I feel like it's been giving issues, to my computer. Okay. But yeah, what I was going to say is, I don't quite remember what I saw gameplay wise for this game when I first looked into it, when I backed it several years ago now. I recently got Iridia 2. I backed that campaign. Now, of course, Iridia's already doing their second edition. Going back to what I was saying about these big box games doing second editions. Maybe there will be a second edition of this game and mine's going to be already obsolete. But regardless, I'm seeing a lot of comparisons between Iridia and this game in terms of what each is trying to provide players from an RPG style gameplay perspective, with the high level world map, all the different types of exploration scenarios, all the different aspects of RPG type games incorporated in regards to the lock picking, the arrow types, the potions, that sort of thing. What I will say is a difference is this game is clearly, if you didn't notice, is not relying on any kind of D6, D20 system. There's clearly an RPG progression aspect with the various characters in terms of leveling them up and allowing them to do more. and on their turns, but there's no dice checks with a D20 or D6 or whatever D numbered side dice you want to throw in. Whereas Iridia was staying more true to the using a D whatever system, which you see often in a traditional RPG. Not to say that's good or bad. I'm just saying that the biggest thing that I noticed about this game is that it's using a more basic dice system for whatever, whether that's a good thing or not. But yeah, I mean, there's clearly a lot in this game. So whether anyone from my Talking Cardboard group will play it with me, we'll see. John, Jurch, Corey, if you're watching this, play Malhya with me. But this is one of those campaign games too that maybe I'd play solo. I think that's the other high level topic with campaign games or dungeon crawler games is which ones are okay or fun playing solo, which ones are ones where you really want to have multiple players. Some of them are very clear that you need to have at least more than one character in the game. And it says here that each player can control... Yeah, solo players must control at least 2 heroes. It says that right away in the rulebook. That already turns me off of kind of wanting to try this solo, because I think the fun of any board game or dungeon crawler style game is getting to play just worrying about just your one hero. That's why I really want to try out Earthborn Rangers, even though it's that's a different game from a standpoint. It's card game, but still a campaign style game, because I feel that is more of accommodating to just someone playing solo, and that's completely opposite to the game Madara, where Madara you have to play with 4 characters, I believe, and I've done some content on Madara on our Talking Cardboard YouTube channel. Love to get that to the table at some point in my lifetime, but I'm only ever going to play that by at least myself as one character, meaning I most likely would need to be playing with 3 other people. That's going to be very difficult to do because that game has a lot of crunch to it, a lot of rules, and so there's that kind of spectrum when it comes to dungeon crawlers and player count. So this one to me seems like one that you clearly want 2 people to play with. I know some people are going to say, no, I solo this all the time and have a great time. And if you can solo playing multiple characters, then great. I think that's awesome. For me, I just want to worry about my one character when I'm playing a dungeon crawler campaign game. With that said, that's the unboxing. Again, I don't have anything else. This game looks really cool. I didn't really touch on the component quality aspect. Everything seems fine. The double player boards seem decent enough quality. The cardboard tokens themselves, the cardboard quality seems fine. I talked a little bit about how the miniatures are just miniatures to me. People that are more miniature experts may disagree or agree that they're either good or bad miniatures. But I'd be okay if this game just used standees and had a box and that was that much smaller because it was using standees instead of plastic miniatures. But yeah, I feel I could ramble more about this game. It obviously looks really cool to me. It's just a matter of, like I said, trying to get it to the table. So thank you for anyone that did watch up to this point. Please check out our other content on our Talking Cardboard YouTube channel. If you already are familiar with our YouTube channel, then please check out our Talking Cardboard TikTok, and vice versa. If you're watching this on TikTok, please check out our Talking Cardboard YouTube video, our Talking Cardboard YouTube page. With that said, please let me know in the comments what you think of this game. If you've already played this game, any kind of thoughts or ramblings you have about this, I'm curious to hear what you have to say. So thanks everyone for watching. Hope to see you guys again soon.